What up, people? We are live. We on our daily 90-day commitment. Just waiting for a few folks to join. Thanks for being here. Part of my 90-day commitment to going live, sharing, oh, look at Travis King. This is so fun. I love this. Thank you for being here. I am committing to going live Monday through Friday for 90 days, sharing a lesson. Today is about procrastination. Because some of you, maybe many of you, are procrastinating right now, and that's why you're watching. As always, if you see my eyes going back and forth, that is because I am on both Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook and technology, all the things. Now, before I get into procrastination and some things I've learned and how to deal with my own procrastination, I just want to share a very funny story, or what I thought was a funny story. Okay, can you all see this shirt? Do you see what it says? It's backwards. Okay. Well, of course it's backwards because, also technology. So it says, we should all be feminists. I wore it today on my walk. And as I was walking, I saw a man who was staring at me. I could tell that he was trying to decipher what was on the shirt. And then he just yells, "Hell no." And I'm so proud of myself for finding that funny, because there was definitely a time in my life where if that were to have happened, I would have been absolutely mortified, probably taken off the shirt, turned it inside out, and never wore it again. It also reminds me of a time when I was very nervous to wear a shirt that was that said "nasty woman" on it. This was right around the 2016 presidential election. And my God, how far have we all come from then? And I mean, isn't it hilarious that I would ever have any fear of like self-branding as a feminist? But listen, we change and evolve and all those things. But I just thought that was so funny, that guy yelling, "Hell no." We should not all be feminists. Anyway, good to see Karen here. I'm seeing some familiar faces. All right. Also, I'm Claire Wasserman, by the way, founder and author of Ladies Get Paid. We are an educational platform and global community, and of course, a book all about helping women level up in the workplace. And procrastination. There are lots of things that I want to talk about when it comes to procrastination, but as always, it is down to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about what we can actually do to work with and work through our procrastination. And just a couple of things right off the bat. Get to the core of what's actually going on here. Take yourself seriously. Take the procrastination seriously. So instead of just looking at it as this like annoying thing that you have to deal with, or something that you hate that you do, right? You're not going to make real change if you're coming at it in such a combative way. So best to take it seriously in the sense of, what is it trying to tell you? Okay. So, look at it through the lens of compassion and curiosity. And one way to figure that stuff out, getting to the core of what's really going on, is just simply track it. Okay. So, and I know that that's giving you more work to do, but listen, better to spend some time and effort up front figuring this stuff out so that you can really, create the conditions for yourself to just fly later on. Welcome to the new folks joining. We are talking about procrastination today. Okay. So when I track my procrastination, what I really want to understand are the triggers, and not just the immediate triggers to my procrastination, but the lead up to the procrastination. Because you may discover when you track your procrastination, wow, you haven't moved your body in a week, right? No wonder you're feeling sluggish. Okay. Also, internally, externally, and behaviorally, I'm going to read out some stuff I prepared for today. Shocking. So let me just read a couple of things for you about figuring out what is at the core of this procrastination. So internally, what is at the emotional core of your avoidance? And how can you shift your mindset to maybe see things in a different way? So this is going to be especially helpful if you're avoiding things that you consciously want to do, but maybe subconsciously something is stopping you. So in my case, I was procrastinating a lot from doing YouTube videos. Even though consciously I wanted to do them, why was I not actually putting in the effort of the follow through? And when I began to sort of dig into it deeper, I basically saw that I have very little patience when it comes to learning curve. I have this unrealistic expectation of myself that I am going to learn fast, right? That I'm not going to have to slog through the difficulty and the frustration that comes with learning something new. I get very frustrated with myself. Okay. So that indicated to me that it's not so much the procrastination I needed to work on, but maybe patience. Okay. And also that there's potential failure and judgment that comes with putting yourself out there. I wasn't really giving myself enough credit for the vulnerability that is required to put your face, literally your face out there. Even my book, it has my name in big letters on it. So, of course, when I was procrastinating, it wasn't just about, oh, I don't want to write. It was fucking fear. And when I really looked at that fear and took it seriously and took myself seriously, that's what unlocked some more compassion. And like I said at the beginning of this talk, compassion, you got to lay the groundwork to work through procrastination. It's not by fighting it, it's by loving it. Externally, okay, so we got the internal. What's at the core of, what's going on with this procrastination? Externally, let's make sure that your environment is as conducive as possible to getting things done. Everything from looking at your desk, how messy is it? Because subconsciously, or maybe consciously, that of course is distracting you. Speaking of distractions, how many tabs do you have open on your computer or your phone? Is it dinging or your social media? I mean, listen, guys, let's just make life easier for ourselves and get rid of that shit. Okay. Also, how about music? Experiment with music a little bit. Check out something called bilateral beats or bilateral music. This is really, really good for deep focus. Also, there's research, I think there's research, or at least my own research in my own life. If you listen to certain songs on repeat, you may find that it becomes easier to complete tasks. And you know what song is good for that? Sorry by Justin Bieber. Okay. Sorry, not sorry for that one. And now, next step, behaviorally, we're working through procrastination here. What steps, habits, or systems of action can you create that will make things easier in the long run? So, for example, do not force yourself to work for 2 hours straight, even if you can. No, we are long run here. This is a marathon. So how about you force yourself to stop after 15 minutes? Okay. You're gonna want to keep going probably. You got to force yourself. Okay. Stop. All right. And then maybe add on a little extra time, right? Or another thing you can do to make life easier or sort of more motivating for yourself to work through procrastination is bundling a boring activity. Like, I don't know, you've been dreading writing thank you cards for your wedding that happened over a year ago. That's me. Okay. Well, there's a latest podcast episode of Succession that I want to listen to. Maybe not allowing myself to listen to that podcast episode unless I have bundled it with the boring, dreaded activity of writing the thank you cards, right? Things like that. And that is totally ripped off from James Clear, by the way, in Atomic Habits. He talks about, I don't know if it's called bundling for him. I think it's habit stacking. Breaking down your tasks into micro tasks. That's another big reason why you may be procrastinating, is because this shit is daunting. You have this thing on your to-do list. It's massive. So you put it off. But if you were to break it down into its tiniest components and you just challenge yourself to do one of the components, and then you go reward yourself or take that break, right? Then you're going to see your progress, because that is the problem. When there is such a huge task to accomplish and it takes forever, you are spending most of your days not feeling great about yourself, right? Because you've decided I'm only going to feel great once it's done, which it never comes. And then, you just give up. This is what procrastination is. Another helpful hint for procrastination is visualizing yourself completing the task. Research shows that if you do that, it will train your brain to actually do it efficiently. So next time you need to stop procrastinating, I encourage you to maybe close your eyes and then create a mental image of yourself completing your task. Okay. Also, block this shit off on your calendar. Protect your time. All right. Don't let other people schedule meetings when you need to be focusing on this stuff. By the way, eat the frog. Have you heard that expression before? I think this comes from Brian Tracy. He says, do the task you've been dreading first thing in the morning. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm more into doing activities at the times in which your energy is optimized for them. So if in the morning you are, you got a creative brain going, maybe that's when you should be doing the creative brain type activities. That being said, if you wait until the last minute to complete your frog task, which, by the way, frog is like the thing you don't want to do, chances are you're going to be burnt out. You're not going to do it. So play around with, challenging yourself. If you normally leave it to the last minute and that clearly is not working for you, we got to do something different. But do be realistic how long things will actually take for you, because I don't want you to be discouraged. Right? Another good tip for procrastination is, of course, reminding yourself why you're even doing it in the first place. And you may discover that it's not really related to your values. And by the way, I'm not talking about a task that you need to accomplish for your boss. This is more for, if you're doing things for yourself, but you keep putting them off. Maybe you're not doing it for a reason. Maybe you're not doing it because you, in fact, don't deeply care about it. You've just convinced yourself that you care about it. Or maybe you're procrastinating because actually you need to be spending more time getting organized to do it, or thinking about it, improving it, right? Before you jump into it. So that goes back to the first point I was making in the beginning about examining the core reason, like what's actually going on underneath this procrastination. Don't be afraid to delete things. Don't be afraid to say, you know what? I think I'm procrastinating because I ultimately don't really care about this. And I've just been, this is from a previous version of myself and a previous values that I had. And you know what? I'm not going to do it. Maybe do less. Okay. Another tip for procrastination, working through it, is to keep a done list. This goes back to a theme I think I've heard myself say multiple times already in this past 10 minutes is you want to be feeling like you're making progress in life and not waiting until it's done to feel good about it. So if you can track, wow, I actually did cross off a bunch of stuff on my list, AKA that's why we break things down into micro tasks, you can feel confident. You can actually see your progress, all right? Accountability buddies. You might have heard of this. Studies show that people are 65% more likely to complete their goal when they share it with another person. I'm a fan of being transparent about what I'm going through, partly because it builds community, right? It makes me feel less alone, but also it holds me accountable to actually following through. So if there is something that you have an idea for or you are working on, don't be so precious about it. Put it out there, declare yourself, say, hey, I want to host an event on this subject, and you're probably more likely to actually get it done if you've posted it publicly. Okay. I'm also obsessed with Focus Mate. Check them out. Focus Mate. You can sign up for 25, 50, and I believe 90-minute tasks or time slots where they pair you with a random person. And it is called body doubling. There's research that shows you are more likely to get things done if there is an actual person who is watching you, though that, as I hear myself say that, sounds quite creepy. But I think you know what I mean. Also, Mel Robbins, who is the best. She has a very simple tool that is effective, and it is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She literally counts down like she is doing a rocket launch and just does the damn thing that she was intending, was trying to do. Whether it's getting out of bed, just saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just roll out of bed. I also think building momentum, physical momentum for yourself that you can then kind of use and channel into the task is helpful. Here's what I mean. Jumping jacks. Okay. So you're procrastinating, just go and move your body, and then you have your heart rate up, and then just sit down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and start working. Okay. All right. And you can't muscle your way through to motivation. That's the misnomer. That's what we all think we have to do. If I only had more willpower. No, you can't beat yourself up, because procrastination ultimately is not really about the lack of self-control. Okay. It's actually about self-preservation. All right. Hear me out. Whether it is in the form of a tedious task or the potential for rejection, avoiding something is avoiding pain. And so yelling at yourself like a drill sergeant isn't going to do anything but make you just feel bad about it. And actually, if you're like me, want to rebel against the drill sergeant. If I try to parent myself in a disciplinary kind of way, it actually makes me act out like I'm a teenager. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm not even going to do this anymore, even if the thing would actually help me. So instead, I encourage you to really treat yourself with compassion. Sometimes the best way to do it is to imagine that you are not you anymore, but instead just a really good friend, right? And then use these times of procrastination as opportunity to really better understand yourself and what you need, okay, internally, externally. What do you need to do and to be and to feel better? Last little thing of advice here around procrastination is about experimentation, because the tips I've shared for you, they've worked for me, they're research backed, but does that mean they're going to necessarily work for you? No, because you are you. You are a different person. So I want you to design some experiments for yourself around procrastination. So when you have really tracked, like, what are the frequent procrastinations that you tend to do, right? Whether it's waiting to the last second to accomplish something, you give up easily if it's hard or you're bored. Do you tend to like constantly go on social media? Are you, I don't know, what are all the ways in which you procrastinate? Drill that down and then design experiments that you can run to approach these situations just a little bit differently. Let me give you an example, actually, multiple examples. So if you wait to the last second, how about you focus on the start date and not the end date? So you know something's due in like 2 weeks? You can put that on your calendar. That's fine. But I also want you to put on your calendar the date that you're actually going to start. Yeah. If you are a perfectionist and that prevents you from getting work done, well, I've given this advice before. I'm going to give it again because it's fucking great. Maybe stop trying to do your work at your computer, sitting up like this, looking at a blank screen where all of a sudden get a lot of pressure. Do it lying down on your phone, or do it while walking with a voice memo. If you are physically moving your body or in literally a relaxed pose, your brain may all of a sudden think, oh, this is not a high pressure situation, and it'll allow you to work. If you give up because something is hard or you're bored, maybe do that work in sprints so it doesn't feel like it's lasting forever, okay? If you spend a lot of time on social media, well, that's easy. Get your phone out of the room. How about, for me, I was napping like at least 30 to 60 minutes every day, which, in theory sounds fine, but then I kind of just like gave up after that. I would be like, oh, well, it's 2:30 now. That's basically 5 p.m. and somebody's drinking somewhere. I'm just going to stop. Like, I was starting to use my naps as a way of avoiding doing my work. And what I realized, or an experiment that I could run, was starting to play with my sugar intake. Okay. It was crashing because of my diet, but also, guys, this water bottle, like drinking water, not to be one of these people who are like, just hydrate and everything's going to be fine. That's not true. But drinking more water actually really has brought me a lot more energy, and that plus other things. I don't really nap anymore, and I am getting a lot more done. Last thing, if you are somebody who procrastinates because you tend to feel very overwhelmed, even though you're breaking all of your tasks down, you're just like, oh my gosh, I have so many ideas. Like, you kind of can't get your brain to focus. Look into mindfulness, of course, but also consider having an area on your computer where you are putting ideas. Okay. Just when you have an idea, don't let it stay in your head, because even if it's going to the back of your mind, it's still pulling energy from you. It's still distracting you, subconsciously. So this is what's called a second brain. Create a place where all ideas, whether they're shit or great, just something that is a place, a receptacle to hold all of your thoughts so that you really can just be in the moment. Okay. That's the goal. Life is lived in the moment, not in your head, right? But just being present and vibrant. I love you all so much. We are at time, but as always, we will be back tomorrow, same time. And follow me on Instagram, by the way, if you're not already. It's Claire Gets Paid. We are, of course, Ladies Get Paid on Instagram and ladiesgetpaid.com. We're free. We also have an upgrade to Pro, hundreds of hours of videos, again, all around helping you earn more, live better. You got this. You really do. Again, design those experiments, post about it. Oh, and last thing is, I want to hear what's going on in your life. What are your wins? What are some things you have done recently that you are proud of? Tag us. We will repost you. We will talk about, we will celebrate you. Life is hard. Okay. So let's make it easier for each other. Now go get paid.